After recently watching The Last Jedi, here are my views. This film received some very harsh criticism from fans, and I've even seen it called one of the most controversial Star Wars films there is. I have to say I did laugh at that title, as it's hardly controversial. It maybe lacked what the fans wanted, but it certainly wasn't controversial. Throughout the film, the CGI was amazing, the acting was a lot better than The Force Awakens. The film, however, feels very disjointed from The Force Awakens, because characters were taking on different sides to what was portrayed in The Force Awakens. It was almost as if the two directors didn't even talk to each other about the film, let alone watch it. Because Kylo Ren seems to be a lot more good in Kylo Ren, and Luke seems, very out of character to say the least. All in all, it sort of left me feeling like nothing had really happened throughout the film. You sort of finished where it started and there wasn't really much change. And I think what ruined the film for me particularly is just how silly some of the scenes were, or how drawn out and unnecessary some of the scenes were. Now I want to leave this review spoiler free, so I'm not going to go into any specific detail, but I think if you've seen the movie you'll probably know what I'm talking about. It was like, really? Are you really going to go there? I mean, it wasn't even cool or impressive, it was just like, wow, is this actually going to happen? It was quite stupid at times in places. And the runtime on this movie was also far too long, with many clips being completely unnecessary, not adding to the film in any way. The whole film at times felt like it was moving so slowly. And at times I was even questioning the genre of the film, wondering if it was more a comedy. Sure, it made me laugh sometimes, however the humour felt very forced and quite bad. I know Star Wars films have inherently had minor humour, but this is something else. And that leads on very nicely to my next point. The Porgs. They were often used as a comedic device, and I'm sure it was fairly humorous to most people, but it reeked of Disneyisation, in that they're trying to add these new characters just to capitalise on the merchandise and small children's affection to cute animals. Oh, and I have one final stupid moment, again trying not to go into too much detail, but it was a bit nearer the end of the movie that involved a crash. That was just terrible and it was so stupid. I honestly can't believe that was in the movie. I just hope the crash hadn't happened that way, because then it would have been a much better ending. If said person wants to act in that way, then let them. So I think overall I'd probably give this movie 60%. It wasn't a bad movie and you can enjoy it purely from the CGI aspects. The music and the storyline, the music was very good, but the storyline wasn't great. The acting was, as I said, a lot better than The Force Awakens, so I think everyone can take something away from this film, but certainly not one of the best Star Wars films out there.